Sorry I'm late. I was punching nuns. Yeah, again. They're okay. They're tough. They can take it. Hi. Thanks. Thanks for coming by. I don't really have anything to say. And I mean that. I really don't have anything to say, so what I like to do is just, I'm not going to come up here and just say, well, I'm going to tell you all about me. I think, wait, what? Do we have questions already?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, so what do you think about Renolds as the new Deadpool? Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, that's what I want to do. Since I really would rather just let anybody else have questions, and I can answer that stuff. People say it's a panel. One-man panel is just
ridiculous.
Yeah. It's not like I'm going to. Now today I'm going to teach you how to sound like a horse. So that's what I want to do. So think of questions, and it's not like we have a massive crowd here, which is so disappointing. But come on, it's early. Everybody's drunk. Yes, and that's all I need. So to get to your the answer to your question, I hate Ryan Reynolds. I wish him nothing but the worst. I actually read against him for Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place years ago. That was one of the first sitcoms he ever did. I remember did the whole network testing thing. He got it. And now he's got this one. And he'll probably end up being Uncharted. Nathan Drake, too. Because we have similar eyebrows and a certain style of saying things. No, okay, now to the serious answer. I think he'll be great. I think Ryan Reynolds, I enjoy him. I thought he had Wade Wilson in the Wolverine movie with I thought he was funny. They're all dead. Remember when he comes in there? I think he's great. I'm a fan of his. I think I like the way he handles himself. I've heard from people, I've never worked with him, but I heard he's incredibly professional. I think he's hysterically funny. I remember Van Wilder. I mean, I know that's probably one of those things that he made.
Great actor too.
I thought he was funny. I think he's a good actor. I think I hear he's a real pro. And here's the best thing for any Deadpool fans. He's apparently a massive Deadpool fan.
Yeah, he is.
Massive Deadpool fan, and I think that's the person who's going to really bring it to life the best, is somebody who's really invested in wanting to do something like that. I think he's great. I think Ryan Reynolds will absolutely smash it.
I saw the preview too.
I'll be there opening weekend buying a ticket, unless he sends me one. If he's out there, he can send me one.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yes?
What was it like voicing the Penguin or Batman?
Well, the Penguin is one of my favorites. Because, well, I'm not going to do it the whole time, but I'll do it now. Because he's like this with the Batman.
I just like saying it like that. It was very, very cool. And I'll tell you why, one of the reasons I really liked doing that, that job came about at the time when everybody was like, no, it's in too many games, he always sounds the same. And then I did that, and they were like, oh, that's him? And it was people who knew me, and they were like, yeah, and it was great because Rocksteady is a British developer to let me, butcher that. But they were like, and I said, well, no, I'm glad you like that accent. They said, well, no, actually, he's not British, but he's been raised there, so you're perfect. I said, yeah, but I'm not Dick Van Dyking this, right? They go, oh, no, it's better than that. So yeah, no, the new one's coming out soon, and I remember being all excited. They said, when do I be able to tweet and tell people that I'm in this? And sure enough, it came out. And they let me know, and man, everything blew up. So it's always it's one of the more rewarding characters, just because I know so many people love him, and I love what they did with the bottle, and I thought it was, Rocksteady's a great group, and I always like doing work for them. This guy, I'll get you next.
Okay, you've actually done, like people have said, you've done a lot of voice acting, and you've done a lot of voice acting specifically for video games. Have you ever ended up either unintentionally or intentionally playing a game you acted in?
No. I'm a terrible gamer. No. I'm old enough to be like joystick button. And now it's like you have an engineering degree. Figure out, you know, my kid's like, Dad, x squared circle.
Okay.
You know, playing FIFA soccer with my kid. How do I cross it? How do I cross it? It's square. And I look down, he goes, and I look up, and he's got the ball. And then square is pass. It's not cross. Yeah, no, I never have. But the most disturbing thing, people along those lines, the most disturbing thing that I get is hearing myself die in my house. You know, it's like, you will, I was telling somebody in the line, they said, you will pass that level or you're grounded. I don't care about school. I'm tired of,
Oh no.
Yeah, so, no, yeah, it's weird. I mean, you just get started, you hear the video games, and then I do a bunch of cartoons, and, you know, that's on in the house, and my wife walks around and goes, it's like, I could have done so much better. No, she couldn't have. She's not here, right? And yes.
Do you have a favorite memory in the industry, like of entertainment? I know you've been on camera and then obviously voice acting. Do you have a favorite like memory you left?
Honestly, sounds really Pollyanna, but there's so many. Because I never imagined I would do this. I grew up in New England. I grew up southern Massachusetts and then Rhode Island for most of my life until I went to college. And then I remember watching football games, you know, San Diego playing Oakland, and I'm sitting there in 2 feet of snow, and it's sunny, and it's daytime. I wasn't a bright kid, didn't quite get the time zone thing yet. But it was sunny in California. My dad, we always watched the Tonight Show, Johnny Carson, and you'd watch that, and they'd come out, and then they'd go live to Burbank, and it was daytime, and you know, you literally have thoughts like, I wonder if they eat McDonald's. You know, you didn't, you know, it was like so far away as a kid, California, and this whole industry. I wanted to be a baseball player. I went to college in North Carolina to play baseball. That's what I wanted to do. I signed a pro contract that lasted a little over 2 weeks. Right? That's scar tissue.
Ouch.
And that takes a 92-mile-an-hour fastball and brings it down to about 84.
Damn.
84-mile-an-hour fastballs go about 500 feet when you miss. So that was, but it was the best thing that ever happened because this is just so much less running. So there's a lot of, I'm not going to drop your question, but so there's so many. I'll give you a couple. On camera-wise, because of Uncharted, some of you might know the story, J.J. Abrams put me in Star Trek, the last movie, which a lot of people say, oh yeah, that wasn't very good.
It's the Star Trek curse, man.
Yeah, but you know what? I had nothing to do with it. I had 3 lines, 2 of them were cut. No, it's okay. It didn't matter. 2 weeks. There's a room, maybe, sound stage, twice the size of this. They built a spaceship. I'll repeat that. They built an actual spaceship. I mean, the bridge of where we were on, Peter Weller, RoboCop, was like, I'm here, he's right there. And it was the greatest experience because JJ's an Uncharted fan, and he's a gamer himself, and he just invited me to come on and play. And a couple of the other guys were there, other actors I had met before, and you know, like one guy he's done a bunch of the Farrelly Brothers movies. His kids, his daughters played soccer together. So he's on the bridge of the Vengeance with us. And, you know, but it didn't matter. It was just a collaborative thing. It's Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm Simon Pegg, and he comes in and he shoots me when they rush the bridge, and he'd run by and they're like, oh, to the face, no, the bullets. And I'm like, oh, and we laugh. But you realize you're sitting there talking about the business of this guy and all that. I remember I sat in the makeup trailer talking to Chris Pine saying, you know, if you ever get they're never going to let me do this, but if you ever get a script called Uncharted, you should look at it. I think you'd be great. He goes, oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that's that game. I played that. That's you. And there was just like this, oh my God, these people that I admire and watch, and now all of a sudden it's just, oh, you're just a coworker. It's amazing how a set will bring, unless you get a real ass who's just like, I'm too important. But, you know, a set will bring things. It's the best part about the on-camera stuff is you meet so many different people. With the voiceover, this isn't a bad thing. It's usually the same people, but now they're like your family. I mean, people who love Call of Duty, Steve Bloom, anime, I know there's a lot of, he's done a lot of anime. Steve Bloom, he's buddy. You know, people like, you know Steve Bloom? Yeah.
Steve Bloom, guy was born with a cigar in his throat.
It's like, you just listen, but you know, you'll be in a booth next to him and watch him, and you're like, that's so cool. That's just, he's like really bub. And he does it, oh my God, it was so, you know, oh, that's much easier. You think a guy like me would know how to use a mic. What an idiot. Oh, this is so much better. But I can tell you, yesterday, I started on a series called Con Man with Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion. And this is an on-camera thing that's going to come out. It is, everybody here is going to love it because it's a comedy and it's pokes so much fun at the people that you come to see. And his character, it's hysterical. And I'm playing a mocap specialist named Jerry Lanzing, who's pretty much, nobody could be more full of himself. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? You know, the kind of guy who would like flip out his, you know I told him, I said, he's the kind of guy who would show up to a convention hotel and, how many cards would you need, Mr. Lanzing? 40. You know, and like he'd just throw them out to pretty girls and like guitar picks at a concert. So it's just, but it's just that it was kind of I kind of make them up. I don't know, but it's hysterical. It was so much fun with Mindy Sterling. Remember Frau Farbissina from the Austin Powers movies? Yeah. It was her and I and Alan and Felicia Day. And we're doing this scene in this hotel and it's hysterical. I can't tell you anything more, but it's like stopping takes because, you know, and there's improv and we're just doing, and it's so funny. One of the best days I've had in the business. It was yesterday. Yesterday, and I got the red eye to come here this morning. Okay, so I flew over. I got off set at 7:30, went to LAX, came here at 10:30 flight.
Wow.
That was yesterday. That's a great memory. Now, I can take you back to how many days over the last almost 9.5 years could I take you to the Uncharted set, where Graham McTavish, Dwalin from The Hobbit and Outlander now, you know, he and I are just tears in our eyes laughing and having a good time. Then going down and ironically drinking Drake's 1500 IPA at the local pub right near the thing after we finish shooting. I mean, I can take you into the booth and I'm sitting next to to Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, and I'm doing the Transformers. And you know, I tell this story before, and I get it on my back right now. I mean it. You know, my first day, and I'm just going like, well, what are we gonna do, man? You know, what are we gonna do, Optimus?
Autobots, roll out.
And I just went, and I like a kid. I just stared at him. And right next to him was Frank Welker doing Megatron.
Megatron, doing his thing. But when he went, Autobots,
and I just turned and I looked over him, and if you know Kevin Michael Richardson, a phenomenal actor, voice actor, I just looked at him and he goes, yeah, man, I know. Gets me every time. And I was like, this is awesome. Please, let's pick out another season for this. I mean, it's so, I mean, I can, you know, these stories are, I mean, there's so many. There's so many great people. I think that's what I love so much about voiceover. I was in Atlanta 2 weeks ago for 10 days shooting a show called Satisfaction for USA, doing just a guest star in it, playing a plastic surgeon who ends up being a little creepy, which is the best to play. New people, cool thing, and all of a sudden as I'm talking to this beautiful woman, I'm working with a French actress, Stephanie Shostak, and I just look and I go, Stephanie, yeah, and I get my phone, I'm like, is that? And I called, and I couldn't find it. I called my son, and I said, Iron Man 3, who was the woman that turned into the fire, beats up Robert Downey Jr.? He's like, oh, Stephanie Shostak, that's her. It was her. And I go to her, I'm like, you're Iron Man. She goes, oh yeah, it was so much fun. And so now she's telling me stories about Robert Downey Jr., what a great guy he is, and how much fun she had. She worked with Ryan Reynolds on R.I.P.D., that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some of the best memories are the ones you get just talking to people that, I love that movie, you were in that movie, that's so cool. I can take you the day that I met, I'm sitting there ready to go to the booth, and then I hear, thank you very much, and I'm waiting because somebody's been in there, they're taking too long. So I'm a little late, but whatever, I got nowhere else to be. And then all of a sudden, thank you very much, all right. Yes, bye-bye. And I just look up and he goes, hello. I went, hi. And he just, is that Anthony Hopkins? They go, yeah, are you ready? I went, I'll be right there. It's the only time I've ever ran down the hall, jumped onto, like, abruptly and kind of weird, onto an elevator with someone that kind of startled them when you jump on, and I just went, and hit the button that's already lit up, and then just, he's behind me. I'm really sorry.
I'm a big fan of you.
I said, I'm a huge fan. I'm working in the booth after you. I said, I remember going, I'm not crazy. And I went, of course, that's probably what crazy people say. But, not crazy, but I'm such a fan. And he says, oh, no, that's fine. What are you working on? And the elevator stops. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm working on that. He grabs my arm and pulls me off. So just the voiceover? I said, well, no, I just did a movie with Matthew McConaughey. We just shot near your house near the Zuma in Malibu. And he goes, oh, really? Was that surfer movie? I said, yeah, I'm not sure it's going to be very good. He said, oh, but it's brilliant. Yes, he said, no, people. And he just engaged with me. And I'm sitting there, and I just so bad want to go. And I'm seeing all the movies he's done, and he's talking to me. And I think it's people like that. It's unfortunately with the media and the stuff you see and the tabloids and stuff, you're always going to see they're looking for the juicy story. And there are a few knuckleheads out there that are going to do something, but the majority of people, just working actors, it's really kind of boring normal life. I did an interview the other day, and I'm on the phone. No, not boring. I mean, it's a wonderful. But just. This is what I mean. Doing an interview with media in London, they called me, giving them, expounding my beliefs and things like that. They said, and I'm just walking around with my cell phone. And so what does a voiceover and on camera, what does a celebrity do, when they're home? And I'm like, well, I'm home now. Oh, all right, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm picking up my dog's shit in my backyard. And I was literally walking around, one of those things, and just putting it in the bag and walk. I have 2 big dogs, which makes it easy to find it. But I'm serious, and he just laughed. He's like, "You're not serious?" I'm like, "Yeah. What do you think? I have people to do that?" I do. They're my sons. Do it though.
Oh God.
Pissing me off. $5. The guys go clean it up. 10.
15.
0. Now it's 0. That's actually happened. It's $5. I would have jumped at $5. I pick up my father's boots.
Oh God.
Well, he had a habit of missing the bowl. Too far? Go ahead, help me out. Question. Just random. Yeah, no, I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Those are good ones. My mother's was worse because it was running. Yeah! Now we're getting dirty. Seriously, she had IBS.
Oh, okay.
Needed a sponge. Listen, I'm going to just keep crossing the lines that you draw. Oh yeah, no, seriously, that's what I'm here for. I have nothing else to talk about. Okay, Queen. Okay.
I actually have something. I was wondering if you could read something out loud as Deadpool.
Read something out loud as Deadpool?
Yeah, out loud.
Yeah. What is it?
Is it the tomorrow speech?
You'll
no.
probably like this.
Creeps in this petty pace from day to day. To the last syllable of recorded time.
And all our yesterdays have lighted.
I hope you can read it.
Hold on. Oh shit.
Oh, you need glasses.
I just got fitted for some readers.
Blind. Oh, can't see.
Well, I just want to read what this is. You know what? I won't even read ahead. I'll just trust you that it's age appropriate.
PG.
The city is afraid of me. I have seen its true face. The streets are extended gutters, and the gutters are full of blood, and when the drains finally scab over, all the vermin will drown. The accumulated filth of all their sex and murder will foam up about their waists, and all the whores and politicians will look up and shout, "Save us!" And I'll look down and I'll whisper, "Maybe after a hot pocket."
Yes. Is that a costume or did you hurt your hand?
No, it's a costume.
Good.
I have a present for you. Can I bring it up?
As long as it doesn't explode or bite you.
No promises.
No promises.
Oh, ducky.
I have a gift.
It's a duck.
Is it Dickie?
It's a duck.
Father's thesis.
Ashes.
Probably you
It's
go
ashes.
back and get this.
Open. It's a duck.
Oh, wait, no way.
It's a duck.
I remember this. It's a little, it's a stoic.
Oh, the duck.
You see, stoic of dragons. Defenders and riders of Berk. Thank you so much. That is so sweet of you. Hold on, I must give her a hug.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's so sweet. Yes, a lot of people don't know that Gerard Butler did the movie, but I did the entire series and the video games, which was amazingly not such a good day. Jeffrey Katzenberg is like really hands-on with people who are matching the voices. The hiccup. Let's talk about those dragons now. And best compliment I ever got was from my son. This is really cool. It's kind of just, I don't mean to toot my horn, but I really love this. We did the full season of Dragons, Riders of Berk, then season 2 was Defenders of Berk, and now we're doing everything DreamWorks Animation, doing 5 series for them now. And they're all on Netflix, they go straight to Netflix. It's just a new format that they made. And my son asked me, he said, "I like your Stoic better than the guy in the movie." And I said, "Oh, he's good. Gerard Butler's great. I really like him." He goes, "No, it's different." He says, "Does he have kids?" I said, "I don't know." He goes, "He doesn't sound like a dad. You sound like a dad." And I looked it up, and he doesn't have kids. So he's worthless. Or he's a genius. It depends on the day. Yeah.
Okay, you've been doing conventions for a while, right?
No. Honestly, this is, I think I came here last year.
Yeah.
And I had done one other before that. So no, I'm relatively new. I'm actually, we were talking about this earlier, that I really, my buddy Troy Baker, that somebody may or may not have heard of.
Yeah.
He's an up and coming. He's arrived. No, he and I, we're friends, and we've talked a lot about it. He's like, "Man, you gotta come do it. It's so much fun." But I've always kind of not done them because they're weekends. I have sons. They play soccer, pretty good. But now one's older. He just plays the high school season. The other younger one's real good, and he's he does, but you know, now he's like, yeah, Dad, yeah. I'll score a goal for you. It's cool. You know, but before it's like, Daddy, you're not going to be there? And I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to work a lot. So if I'm working Monday to Friday, sometimes I don't want to fly somewhere. I'm a homebody. I stay home. You know, I'm not. You know, the dog poop. That's what I work all week and pick up crap.
So I guess the question I was going to ask it, you wouldn't really have enough prior markings, but I'll ask it anyway. Honest most cosplay you ever saw at a convention?
Oh no, I can still answer that. It's always funny it's always so cool when you see someone who does one of your characters, but then it's a little daunting when someone does it better. Like, huh? Like there was once when a guy like after Uncharted 2 walk up, and I'm just like, and I mean he was just jacked. I'm like, oh, you look like you could really climb all those things. And I was like, you know, just thank God he's not an actor. Actually, last year we had somebody. Troy and I did a panel. Yeah, Troy and I did a panel here. No, that might have been it. The other one I did was just Sacramento at one point. I went up for just a couple of days, and there was a guy in. You know, you got a big crowd. We're there, and then right in the middle, he was like the thing from Scary Movie almost. But he must have been 8 feet tall, and he just like stuck out like a sore thumb. Like imagine a Shaquille O'Neal with a bunch of kindergartners, and he just sat there staring. And then he raised his hand, like, yeah? And then he just. And I just looked around, like, I'm so creeped out right now. So that was I mean, and you know, but you know, then there's some that you do a double take because some of the cosplays are just, people are almost naked. You're like, what? And some of them look really good naked. Some others might not. I like either. Oh, the imagination wanders, doesn't it? So, you know what I'll do? I'm going to do a few more starting now because my kids don't love me anymore. And I'm just going to, and I'll come back next year and I'll answer that better. See, I'm going to pay attention to the cosplays. I mean, there's some that I'm not really familiar with a lot of the anime world, but I've seen some freaky anime stuff. And I'm like, is that? And people are like, no, that's, you know, Ching Cha Fing Flong, or whatever. That's incredible. I don't know, but they're really interesting stuff. There's somebody over here?
It's a bit more of a planning question, but you did a lot of the effective
turrets?
A lot of the
Yeah.
turrets and cores and Portal 2. I really like those. Which of the voices that you did for Portal 2 did you like the most?
It's funny, you're the third or fourth person who's asked me about that today.
Yeah, space, going to space. It's always the best, you know, space. Father? Yeah, Dad? Yeah, son. Are you space? Our family. Just, you know, favorite space? Space.
That one I thought was great, but my favorite line of all that was the Adventure Corps. It was like, I got a black belt in karate, jiu-jitsu, and bedroom. I love that little corps you could get with her. I just thought that was hysterical. Because I kept having to ask them, I said, wait, he's just a little sphere. And they're like, yeah, that's a joke. Oh no, I get it. I just want to be clear.
An entire custom level that used all of the unused lines from Portal
When?
2. All the unused lines that they included with the source editor.
Yeah.
And they put them all into this campaign. It's like a mini campaign that you play through, and the adventure sphere is like guiding you through. He's a bit like GLaDOS, and he's doing this whole thing.
In what?
One level that is just explosion.
In what though?
It was in Portal 2. It's just a Portal 2.
It's a mod.
Oh, they did a mod?
Yeah, it's Steam and Valve. They like doing a really good mod support for their original in-house titles.
See, I never get to know. I never know
I
this
mean,
stuff.
one of the most famous ones is probably Gary's mod, which is based off of Half-Life 2.
they released basically the tools that they use to make the levels, and those tools allow them to access a lot of the unused lines in the game. So they took advantage of that.
Oh, that's so
They made
cool.
a higher level.
Yeah, we went kind of nuts on that stuff. Well, you know, but the funny story about that is when that game came out, people came up to me and they said, "Oh my God, you were amazing in Portal 2." I'm like, "Ah, no, that's not me. I'm not in that." They're like, "No, you're in that. It was space." I'm like, "No." Every game has a code name when they're making it. So it wasn't Portal. I don't know what it was. And it just, we came into the booth, I remember reading it, thinking, this is funny. It might have been 18 months, 2 years later that came out. I had forgotten all about it. And then when I played it, I was like, oh my God, I remember that I did that. I did Fact Sphere, Adventure Sphere. The defective turrets were pretty much a lot of that way. I think we made some of that stuff up on the fly. It was, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that character, I remember somebody coming to me one time, and I was out. I was just out running around errands, and I saw somebody with a sphere in space. And I said, "Is that?" And you know, they're not walking around stalking someone. They say, "Kicks, or maybe get some Cheerios." You know, so I'm looking at her breasts. I just want to see, is that space? Yeah, that character became so big they dropped him in Skyrim. Yeah. They dropped Portal. They dropped the space sphere at one point, crashes into a house, and is it? And I think he said, "Is this space?" and you know, the guys run around.
You can launch them back up.
Yeah, you launch them back up,
Yeah,
right?
with
Something
some
like that.
value.
Yeah, thank you. We'll send you to space. It's like that. Yes.
We were talking about Valve games. Did you do a similar, like, big session for, like, Dota 2 characters? Did you do all that, like, way ahead of time and all at once?
No, that was cool. They did. I think I did 16 characters for Dota 2. And
You did both
they
ends
were
of the ogre match.
yeah, and basically then they had some kind of a contest or something where people go, you know, into the big battles, but everybody used all my characters, because I think 16 is the max you can, you know, play with at one time, and they would all get all those characters. And,
Wow.
You know, what's the whirlybird guy?
who was like, I kind of, what's his name? Anybody play that?
Keep it
Keep the
alive.
light.
Is he the one who has the whirlybird? Gyrocopter, yeah. And I did this kind of guy that was
Years ago, some people might remember.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah.
And I kind of took that one and made him a little weirder. Just kind of, you know, because you kind of do that, boys. And it's about it. And then you make him like a little bit insane, and then he kind of goes up and down with the inflections, and
it just creates this insane and the other one was Ogre Magi, I think.
With the two heads, one top like this on it.
No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we are. We're going to go there.
No, I won't go that way.
No, we need to go that way.
No, we need to go that way.
No, we're not going that way.
No, I won't go left.
No, go right.
Left.
Right.
Left.
Right.
You just go back. When you're doing it on the page, that would be cut. Like I'd highlight one guy's thing, so I knew highlight would be hi. Stupid. It's just insane. People are like, it's cool. I'm like, it gets to it faster. Yes.
I was just kind of curious what your thoughts were about how Ubisoft traded Desmond Miles in Assassin's Creed.
I thought Ubisoft had I think Patrice Desilets was the original designer, creative director, and then they had a falling out over something called 1666. There was a bunch of political stuff. Ubisoft had people, Ubisoft Montreal had people going in and out. I don't know the whole story. I don't know anything about it, but the original story, as it was written, it was Desmond goes on these adventures, and they said, we're probably going to do about 6 games, and each game Desmond will get, this was the original pitch, Desmond would get the abilities of his, Altair, and now he has those. Then it's Ezio, he has them, and then it's going to be this guy, and ultimately by the last game, he would be the ultimate assassin with all these and be able to time travel back.
I didn't use that!
Well, I know. I listen. This was One person told me this, so I may be speaking out of school, but it was like that would be, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, because the first time I did that first game, I got to the end of the script, and like in a 4-hour session, I think it took about 2.5 hours, and they said, okay, that's all. They said, all right, thanks, Nolan. We're good. I said, and I turned the last page. And I said, I'm just gonna get a cup of coffee, and we'll start up again. And they looked at each other like, oh, that's it. Oh, what? This is awesome. What happens? And the writer goes, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? He said, I haven't written it yet. I'm like, wait. And seriously, I was kind of angry. I was like, wait, we're done? You just left me. Imagine getting to the best part of a book or a movie and then the end. You're like, huh? It was unbelievable, and I was so into it. I thought it was such a cool concept, such a cool story, and they just kind of dropped it. That was it. And personally, I thought Desmond kind of got a little boring. I thought Altair. I thought those games were so cool, great games. But this, and then he kind of got a little whiny. Isn't it? And it's like, I'm stirring my dad. And it's like, who do you want to be? Do you want to run around gray rooms and Abstergo, or do you want to get, be Altair, you want to be Ezio, or Connor? I mean, I want to throw a tomahawk. And the Black Flag. I mean, they're really well-made games. I think somehow Desmond's character just kind of hit a fork in the road that unfortunately was dead end on both of them. He had nowhere to go, and then I remember the last sessions I ever did were the voice messages to his father. Anybody remembers those?
Yeah, Black Flag.
Yeah. He just so the voice messages to his father. That was just written to kind of wrap things up. And the one thing I don't like in any kind of project I do is exposition for exposition's sake. It's like, I'm just going to tell you everything that I could show you, but I don't have enough money and time. So I'm going to make it a voice message. So it just is kind of like, because I really like those games. There's some of the few games that I play, because I love history. And like Call of Duties back in World War II, seriously, shooting Nazis? Can't be done. It's like, come on. Everybody knows zombies.
Speaking of the Call of Duty franchise, what was one of your memorable moments when voiced Dr. Rick Todd?
Best moment would be when they put Steve Bloom, who's Dempsey, myself, Fred Tatasciore, who's Nikolai. Tom Kane couldn't be there. He lives in Kansas City, believe it or not. Just records it over the phone. They were foolish enough to put us in the booth together.
And they let us just run with it. And we started yelling, and it became starving time,
And we just were sweating and laughing, and some of the darkest, funniest humor that you will never hear. Because the tapes have been burned. People have lost their lives. Social services would take my children away. Disgusting things that Rick Tobin had in mind.
I love you, Nikolai. Dempsey, I hate you.
Yeah, no, it was silly fun. But being when they put us in the booth, they did it once. They never did it again. That gives you any indication.
Yeah. What is the funniest moment you've ever had in the booth?
Uh-oh.
Whoa, big question.
Long list.
That was one of them. Silly little things. I did a cartoon for Nickelodeon called Robot and Monster. And Maurice LaMarche, who's Pinky, he's the brain from Pinky and the Brain. Mo's super famous. I mean, he's done tons. He's also the voice of Lexus.
They sent me 2 cars.
He had a line with his character one time, and we were doing ADR, and that's where we'll record a session, and then they do the animation, and sometimes the animation's not matching up to the line, so we go in and we'll be all sitting in a booth, and there'll be a TV screen we're looking at, and it's like they give you 3 beats, deep, 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 and like my line is like, hey, where you guys going? So you're just watching and go, hey, where you guys going? Deep, deep, deep. hey, where you guys going? And you're just dubbing over the mouth flaps.
Yeah.
And he had this line, and it was just, his little character jumps up and my little character like dropped like a coin out of somewhere, and he just went, and all I had to do was go, yeah. That's all I did. Yeah. And his little character jumped up, and I can't do it. I can't give it, but he went, hey, that guy's made of money. Get him! And for whatever reason, the way he did it and what we were looking at, I could not catch my breath. I was laughing so hard. I just not, and then that got somebody else going, and it just, and then it's the day you end up walking out of there thinking that, you can't possibly believe that you get paid to do it. So it's pretty crazy. There's some of these cartoons that you get to do. There's a guy here, Robbie Damon, who. Anybody ever hear him? No?
Yeah.
No, neither have I. Especially since he's in the back of the room right now. Yeah, there you are. Robbie and Eric Bauza do a show called Breadwinners, which I'm on, and I do a voice that I will never ever audition for again because it's the most blood-curdling thing I've ever done. But one of the good parts about the job is actually, because I hadn't worked with Robbie before, and Eric, I hadn't worked with Eric before either in that one. But it was, you see them do their thing, and the show is a frenetic, kinetic, fast-paced thing, and when you see them do it, because they have so many lines. Is that an emergency in your pants there? What's going on? You have a siren in your pocket. I dig that. I dig that a lot. You're a dirty bird, aren't you? Anyway, you but to see guys like, when I first started getting into the voiceover and into animation, I'm just, want to do this stuff, and now I'm getting older and I've been doing, like, you get to see other people come up and do stuff, and watching Robbie and Eric do their thing, it's remarkable, because they're just, it makes me so happy that it makes me so happy that I get the same pay, and I only have to do 7 lines, and he has to do like 700. But that's the great thing about this. It's a small group, but there's always like new guys kind of come in. And I was once the new guy, and now hopefully I'm still in the middle and not toward the end. But then, you're working with people you've always admired. Rob Paulson. Oh, sirens and bullseyes. And you're.
You made me lose my place.
You don't know, Paulson, Welker, Jeff Glenn Bennett, Candy Milo. I mean, all these people that you've admired and you see now it's so cool. I mean, we go back to what you were asking earlier about the whole best memories. We're really, really fortunate to do what we do. It's just so much fun. And then, then you get to come here and, it's not a lot of people that get to sit with fans and fans of the medium, not just the people, but the whole medium. Not a lot of actors in business get to actually interact with people like that. You're not gonna, they may come up there, the handlers, and they're too far away, but to get to sit here and do this, it's really cool. Yes, the Burger King employee. Mick Ronalds, whatever.
Do you have any embarrassing stories from working in the food?
The embarrassing ones?
Yep.
None of them I'm going to tell you. I almost threw up doing drowning noises, but I think every actor's always done that. I almost passed out doing running efforts.
Damn.
Almost. But I'm a man. I kept it together. Yeah, I'm sure there's... last week in Atlanta, doing the on-camera gig I was doing, my beautiful co-star looked at me, she goes, "You have a huge thing right there." And it was like a long, I thought it was like, oh God, I got a bat in the cave. Bat in the cave. Gotta get that out. No, it was a long gray hair coming out of my nose that I tried once, twice, 3 times unsuccessfully to pluck. At which point, now I'm violently trying to do it because we're about to do a take. There were 65 extras now just watching me ripping this thing out. I pluck it out, and as my eyes obviously just start to water, rolling action. That's the best I can do for you. Hold on, right here.
Has there ever been another voice actor that has inspired a voice of yours?
Well, that would be kind of stealing. No, because a lot of times what I'll do, and I picked this up from other people, is like some of the old-time movies. You go back there, some of those great character actors had some great voices, and you can go back there, yeah, see, and you can play with those. There's some really cool character actors from the 20s, the 30s, some of those older movies, you know. They walk in there, you know, Miss Prescott, what are you doing here? Now you can take that and you can mold that and play with that. One of the voices I always loved, and I always would love to do it, you know, a derivation, I guess, of, was Rob Paulson's Carl Weezer. I always thought that was just the best voice. And when he'd do it, and you know, he loved Carl Weezer. I thought he was one of my favorite little cartoon characters. But it's just so, you can't. It's stealing. If you do anything close to that, it's just getting done. So I can't. I mean, if you ever hear me do one, you know, call me out on it. But I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I know what you mean. You don't mean stealing. Like, did it inspire you? You know what's cool? It's like there's some things that I can do that another voice actor just can't, and vice versa. And I love seeing those people. Like Robbie, who works with Eric Bauza, is ridiculous. He's ridiculous. And you just sit there and look at this little guy, and you know, he does that whole, I mean, it just, you wouldn't believe the stuff he can do. Not impressions, just the voices. Is this instrument, if you want to call it that, is, it's crazy. It's like D. Bradley Baker. You know, D. Bradley Baker, good actor, good voice actor. He's really good at it, but these sounds he can do, the creatures, the things he's famous for, it's unbelievable, unbelievable. Yes, Sleepy. It's okay. You're wearing a blanket. You should be yawning.
My question is, and the reason I'm asking is I am terrible with names, and by extension, I can never remember what actor started.
Nolan.
Have you ever found yourself taking over the role for someone else in voice acting at least? And if so, how do you try and keep like the continuity of the voice?
It's a really touchy thing. Okay, there's two things I can tell you quickly. Robbie, are you next?
Yeah.
What?
Are you next up here?
Yeah, but I'm just watching you, man.
All right. I appreciate it. I came in a little late, so I'm just going to answer a couple questions for you. You know, but I don't want to hold you up. You can come up here and sit with me, you know, if you want to.
Yeah.
We'll tandem it out. Hey, no, he's not his time. It's still my time. No, seriously, if you want to come up anytime you want. Okay. Well, let's see. It's interesting because I did, I'll tell you this story. Raphael, TMNT, the movie in 2007, I was Raph. Then they came out with the series, and I knew they didn't want the same voices, and I ended up playing the Krang now in that cartoon. I do all the Krang. Rob Paulson, who's the original Raphael, is now Donatello in this version, and Sean Astin is Raphael. And then one day, the three of us were sitting there, and the director comes out and she goes, I just realized we have 3 Raphaels sitting next to each other. I'm like, yeah, and I just looked at it, I was like, yeah, but mine was the best. You sound like a kick ass. And they don't like this story. the most it's uncomfortable. The final story I'll tell you about was Mickey Mouse. Disney started wanting to have, I think it was when John Fiedler passed away, they wanted to have backups because these characters had that stuff, their marketing and everything had to keep going, and they had to find a replacement for Piglet, and they didn't have one, so they put out a very uncomfortable order to agents to like, we need to find backups. And a lot of people were, you know, they thought they're being replaced, and what was Disney doing? And
I went in 11 times to Disney, and I had to sing songs, and oh boy, I outdid the whole thing.
And we went through scripts and songs, you know. I remember we had to do
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I mean, we sang everything, and we did all this stuff. And my agents at the time, you have to understand, it was Wayne Allwine was Mickey, and Russi Taylor was his wife, is Minnie. But they were like, no, this is just for backup purposes. And Wayne passed away, and then I was like, oh, and I remember just thinking, and I was told, like, you're kind of on standby, this is what you're going to do. And I had these mixed feelings. I didn't really want to do it, and I wanted to talk to Wayne, you know, like, and kind of maybe he could mentor if that was going to be, because I wanted him to be comfortable with it. He passed away. Well, then they ended up not. They picked somebody. They went with somebody else from somewhere else, and they. So it was very, very strange, and those kind of things when you don't want to replace someone who doesn't want to be replaced. And it's just, you know, Frank Welker's become a very, very good friend of mine. I mean, went from hero to my neighbor, actually, back in Los Angeles, and my buddy. And you know, I joke with him. I'm like, you're Freddie and Scooby. Come on, pass one over. Yeah, you know, you're gonna do better. He's like, yeah, no. But you know, it's like, I wouldn't want that. Wouldn't want that job. Wouldn't want. Who wants to? Who would replace him, first of all? So it's a good question, but it's kind of interesting. It's like you never want to replace something like that. You know, people, except in the movies. You know, Mark Wahlberg will be Nathan Drake. You know, but Ryan Reynolds will be a hell of a Deadpool. So, unless there's anything else. One more, for you.
Okay, so how do you feel about having your own voice track and Saints Row?
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. I did the first Saints Row, just doing like some of the radio ads and just some of the incidental characters. But that was kind of funny when they asked me to do that. And, you know, I made them pay. If you're gonna use my name, you're gonna pay for the name. Then the sessions are separate. And I figured, they'll never do that. It did. But I think it was just such a. It was. I mean, it was pretty cool. I gotta admit. I mean, I just because you know people don't know us, and that's that's one of the reasons we do this. Is the anonymity is really nice. You know, you know you don't have to. But then when you know you gotta be a true fan to be able to really be the one who knows who we are. So we appreciate that very much. I know. So I'm going to, I have to go, but I'm here all weekend. I don't know if that matters. Again, for you, it's Nolan, bad with names. You want to take that home?
Okay.
Yeah, so if there's anything else, I know we're doing panels tomorrow and Sunday, and panels, Q&As, right? Just something like that. So I got to think about some more interesting stories or whatever. So I'm just going to put this down, or is somebody going to come take it? You're going to come take it? You're going to come take it.
Blind tackle.
Robbie. It's so funny. See, it's like seeing your teacher out of school. It's like we never get to see each other. I don't think I've ever seen Robbie outside of Nickelodeon. Nobody ever sees me. I travel by night. I'm gonna keep hamming it up. Put a handle on the side of this mug. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all. See you next weekend.